past decade, the global financial technology fintech industry has experienced a surge in growth. Digital banking and financial services are proving transformative both in developed economies and also in regions where billions of people have previously struggled to access banking services. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Analytics Insight, where we unpack the ideas, innovations, and human stories shaping the way we live, work, and connect. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. Now, today we are diving into a topic that touches all of us every day, whether we like it or not, it's money. Now, specifically, we are going to talk about the future of how we manage money and why the next wave of fintech innovation isn't about adding more bells and whistles, but about building trust, clarity, and tools that actually fit into our lives. So let's welcome Kiran Nambiar, CEO and co-founder of MyFi. Hi Kiran, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and thanks for having me on the show.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you with us on a podcast today. And of course, we all have been witnessing the growth of fintech and how it is shaping the world we are using banking services today. But I guess we are going to touch upon a different perspective today with regards to fintech, and we are going to dive deeper into as we move ahead in our podcast. But before that, we would like to know more about MyFi. So, if you could help us understand more about the company, its specialization, and what sets a MyFi apart, it would be great.
Sure, sounds good. So MyFi is an AI-powered fintech app. Our goal is really to help the end customer in through their investment journey. We're really focusing on long-term wealth creation rather than short-term gains, which a lot of other products do, and really be your co-pilot in that journey. One key differentiator that I should emphasize on is that our product is entirely conversational. And what that means is you open the app, it's like ChatGPT, but focused on the financial space. So you can go in and ask questions like, how's my portfolio doing? What should I invest in? Find me large cap funds. It's completely sort of natural language, leveraging some of the GPT models that are available today. We are both direct to consumer as well as B2B2C. So we have partnerships out there that allow their customers to leverage our conversational experience. One last thing to add is that we're part of a larger fintech called Tiffin, which is a platform of wealth tech products, and we've been in the AI space since late 2018.
Great. Thank you for sharing that detailed overview about MyFi. And of course, when we talk about AI-powered fintech app, the way you kind of set apart by making it more conversational, I think that's what users would definitely want, specifically in a very complicated space, which is the financial industry. So, and the journey you have taken so far, of course, gives us a great foundation for our discussion today. So, we would like to also touch down on your journey. So, you're a serial entrepreneur with experience in successfully launching and exiting businesses. So if you could tell us more about yourself, how has your journey been till date? What triggered your interest at MyFi, and what exactly is your role towards the company?
Sounds good. So I started my career in 2007 in London. I started at Merrill Lynch, then moved on to Morgan Stanley, worked between London and New York for about a decade. I moved back in 2017 to start a company called First Main, which was a digital product agency. And what that meant is we essentially designed and built digital experiences, whether that was a mobile app, website, etc., for customers out there. We worked with a lot of fintechs, as well as slightly more established businesses like WeWork India, Zoya by Titan, and other such companies. And had clients externally as well, including Tiffin. So we did a lot of work with them, and they eventually acquired us in 2022. Been working with them on their US products for about 2 years after that. And then in late 2023, early 2024 is when I started working on MyFi, which is really an India-focused product in the wealth tech space, because I believe that there's this gap in the market when it comes to financial assistance and guidance. And this is something that I have personally been looking at and researching since sort of 2013 while I was in New York. I remember having various conversations about this on how we could help bridge this gap because the financial literacy levels are quite low in India, and it's a growing market. And while the investable income is growing and the number of investors are growing, guidance for those investors are not, and hence MyFi.
Absolutely, definitely a very interesting journey and a very impressive journey, I must say. And of course, moving ahead, when we talk about the leadership role, I think it's truly inspiring to, listen and understand your contributions which are eventually shaping the direction of the company. Now, moving ahead, I think when we talk about the fintech industry, it has seen exponential growth over the past decade, which is, of course, driven by advances in technology, increased consumer demand for digital solutions, and, of course, more surges in investment, I would say. Now, despite this growth, or perhaps because of it, many fintech companies struggle to differentiate themselves in a very crowded market where services and brand identities often overlap significantly. Now, in fintech, companies frequently mirror one another in both appearance and functionality. This similarity poses a challenge in capturing customer interest as well as the loyalty. And even if we talk about fintech marketing, I think it tends to focus heavily on features like faster transaction, lower fees, higher security. And we have, of course, come across all of these terms or your buzzwords more frequently. But these are, I think, quickly becoming more baseline expectations rather than differentiators. So while fintech, of course, focuses on features and feed, your company or you have chosen to focus on trust and clarity instead. So why do you think that's more important for today's users?
See, I think, if you look at the market over the past couple of years, especially through COVID, right, there was this rapid digitization and investment into the markets that came in an unprecedented manner. So if you look at the number of unique investors, it's somewhere around 100 million PANs today. Of those 100 million, the number of people who actually get any sort of guidance to invest in the markets is very low. Even if you add RIAs, distributors, etc., there are only about 200,000 in the country, of which maybe 70% are active. So there is a very large gap between the number of investors out there and people helping them, whether physically or even digitally, right? And as you rightly said, a lot of these startups were and are focused on trading capabilities, brokerage, low fees, low latency, things like that, right? And really, when you look at the retail investor, I strongly believe that what they need is guidance for long-term investing. The ability to kind of make quick money, 20% in a month or less even, is not sustainable, right? And most people, if you look at India today, are still in that era where a lot of their assets are in traditional investments. So that, and by that I mean savings accounts, fixed deposits, gold, etc., which are important aspects of your portfolio, but you need to diversify, right? So that's where a product like MyFi comes in and says, you know what, don't think about trading in and out of positions, making quick money. It's really about who you are, what your aspirations and goals are, and building towards long-term wealth creation, not short-term goals. So that really has been a differentiator, and it's also a challenge because that instant gratification you may get from a quick win with a brokerage company because you made 10% in a week or 10 days, that you perhaps don't get that kick when you're focusing on a long-term game, right? But there is enough data out there to say that long-term wealth creation is very real and compounding is a very beneficial thing for all investors. So slow and steady is how I would say when it comes to investing. I should clarify that speed is important to us when it comes to delivery, and quality is important to us when it comes to delivery. So we work fast, we iterate fast, and we focus on delivering a high quality experience and thought through, researched experience for our investors.
Definitely, I agree with you. And I think what you shared, it really highlights a shift we will see across the entire financial ecosystem. I mean, it's so easy to get swept up in shiny new features or lightning fast transaction. But like you said, I think without trust and clarity, those benefits can feel hollow to users who just want to feel secured and informed. And of course, when you talk about investment, I think yes, slow and steadily definitely is the mantra in terms of investment, no matter how fast we are moving ahead in a digital financial era. So, of course, I mean, building trust isn't like a one time checkbox. I think it's an ongoing commitment. And I think that's kind of changing the entire financial landscape today. No, while we're talking about fintechs, I think something that kind of shaped the entire fintech industry are, I think, finance apps. Now, for example, imagine you're using an app to transfer money and suddenly there's a glitch. Now, what comes to your mind instantly? Probably something like, is my money safe, right? Or, that's where I think trust kicks in. So fintech companies are handling sensitive financial data, and if users like you and we don't trust you, then I think we are not coming back. So at the end of the day, no matter how many cool features you offer, I mean, a finance or a fintech company offers, whether it's seamless transactions or attractive interest rates or easy loan processes, if the platform or the app doesn't feel secure, I think it's game over. So what does it mean to have a finance app to act more like a companion than a product? What are certain features you think that you can share with our listeners that make a finance app more like a companion and not a product?
See, I think the biggest thing that we do when it comes to MyFi is when you open the app, sure, we give you some starter questions, some data about yourself if you connected your account, but you are really in control of the journey, right? And that's also possible because of conversational experiences where we're not pushing top performers for today. We're not saying here's some sector that's trending. It's really in your control what journey you go down. It could be as simple as show me my holdings, or it could be how can I improve my portfolio, or I want to find tech funds which are high performing but low fees. So all of those things are potential questions you can ask. So the way we allow the user to be in control of their journey is something that's quite unique to us in that way. And that's what I think it means to be a guide and a co-pilot versus saying, here, do this, right? Now, it doesn't mean that we don't give people information to make a decision, but it does give that decision making power to the end user.
Definitely. And of course, when a user has that control in its hands of what journey they want to pick, I think that's the best experience or a feeling that a probably a user can have. Because if a particular app becomes more like a companion, like you said, a guide or a co-pilot, I think it's no longer a platform just for transactional analytics. It becomes a trusted partner in terms of making some crucial investment decisions and probably also even life altering decisions. So I think the support that you need, I think that matters both in big and small moments. And of course, I think many listeners would also be able to relate to what you said, considering the importance of empathy and personalization that we need in the fintech industry today. Now, of course, fintech is probably, it's an amalgamation of technology and finance, right? So, when we talk about technology, I think something that really comes up in our mind is artificial intelligence. Now, AI is no longer a futuristic concept. It's already here. It's also even deeply embedded in our personal as well as professional lives. If you consider the post-pandemic era, I think the post-pandemic surge in AI adoption, especially with tools like ChatGPT, and they've made LLMs, large language models, pretty mainstream. Since then, we have seen rapid progress in Gen AI as well as agentic systems. But here's the catch: while these models are well suited for consumer use, they fall short in enterprise settings, especially when it comes to contextually aware intelligence. So, I want to understand how and why do you think that contextual intelligence makes financial decisions simpler and more personalized?
So I want to touch on a couple of things there, right? The models that you talk about and that have become very easily available to the public, those are general purpose models that are very broad and able to cater to multiple things, right? Whether it's what should I have for dinner today, or what should I invest in the markets, right? It'll give you answers to all of those things. When it really comes to specialized use cases, whether it's medical, legal, or finance, it is important that you think about what we call verticalized LLMs, right? And verticalization of an LLM basically means you take one of these base models and you fine tune it to your use case, right? In our case, that's finance and investing. So a lot of time, effort, money, resources have been put into specializing these LLMs for investing use cases for retail investors with data on the Indian markets, on the mutual fund industry, stocks, etc., that's relevant, right? So that's one part of it. So that brings in some context when it comes to the industry and specialization. The second part of the context that we bring in is you as an individual user as well. So if you come into the app and say something like, find me large cap funds, we show you large cap funds. And then we also say, hey, you know what? 20% of our portfolio is already in large cap funds, FYI. So it's really giving you more information when you ask for something very simple, and that is essentially to empower you to make better decisions. So these verticalized LLMs with context on market data as well as the individual person's information is extremely important, and that's what really differentiates the experience. And this is certainly available for enterprises to use as well. In fact, we do have a live partnership with one of the top mutual fund providers today that allows customers on WhatsApp to experience this.
Definitely a fascinating perspective, and thank you for helping us understand more about contextual intelligence and how it can bring more unique experiences to each unique users in financial decision making. I mean, we each user has a different requirement and its unique circumstances, its behaviors and needs. And when you bring into the contextual intelligence, I think one can move beyond the one size fits all approach and give more truly personalized solutions, eventually fostering more trust within the company and the fintech company, and making, I think, which is very much critical in financial relationships today, to build that confidence and trust. So in my earlier introduction, I spoke about fintech companies and financial companies having access to our sensitive financial information. And of course, in today's digital age, data is invaluable. Now, from personal preferences to financial data, medical records, data represents individuals, their actions, and even their behaviors. Now, for example, big data, the massive volumes of data generated every second by online activities, when you're using your mobile app or your IoT devices, I think it has opened up unprecedented opportunities for businesses to analyze trends, enhance customer experiences, and even innovate products and services. However, this opportunity also comes with a challenge. I wouldn't say challenge, but like a serious responsibility that companies should have certain measures in place to protect that data as well. Now, of course, financial data privacy is a huge concern. So, what measures do you think can help companies ensure transparency and security?
See, I think it is a responsibility of any startup today that's dealing with personal data to ensure that they work with the highest level of security and encryption, right? And that is something we started with right from the start at MyFi. So, what does that mean, right? That means encrypting data when it's stored, not being able to access personally identifiable information like date of birth, PAN, etc., unless it's for the user. So all these measures are multiple ways in which you can secure access to information. APIs should have authorization and authentication. And lastly, when it comes to LLMs, right, one of the things that we originally started with was, of course, using APIs that are available from some of the large companies that are out there, and that's what most people do. But very quickly, we realized that, you know what, data security, let's take it to the next level and let's see how we can ensure even higher levels of security, right? So we, as of January this year, we are today on completely open source models that are self-hosted on Indian servers, right? So this is not data that's leaving the country, nor is it leaving servers that are dedicated to us. Which again goes another level down in terms of ensuring data security and privacy. So there are many things you should do and can do. And honestly, today the barrier to doing a lot of these things is not very high. So I would say it's the responsibility of every startup or large company out there to ensure that the highest level of security and encryption protocols are followed to ensure data security and privacy.
Definitely, and I think it's important for our listeners also to recognize that privacy isn't just a technical checkbox, but I think it's a social responsibility and also a step towards continuous commitment to ethical data handling. And of course,
Absolutely.
like you said, every startup which is dealing into and handling financial data, I think they need to adopt proactive security measures, and it kind of highlights a standard that more and more organizations should strive for that. So, yeah, I think because when we're talking about responsible innovation, at the end of the day, if there's innovation but without trust, I think it just doesn't move the needle. So, thanks again for sharing those, insights. It really helps to contextualize that privacy and progress can go hand in hand as well, ensuring that we have some proactive security measures set in place. Now, I think the fintech industry has never been static. In fact, I think it thrives on disrupting the status quo. Now, over the past few years, we have seen regulatory changes, economic shifts, and even technological advancements that have reshaped financial services. However, while some areas of fintech have cooled, others are seeing unprecedented growth. So, what trends should we be on the lookout for? I mean, AI is already reshaping. We have now fraud prevention. There's real time payment, and of course, personalization is again becoming like a baseline expectation, especially for younger consumers like the Gen Zs. While the fintech space is evolving, so what are certain trends you think will become more grounded and meaningful in the coming years?
See, I think, whenever in the early 2000s, we spoke about the internet like it was this new technological revolution, right? And it took a while for it to catch up and have momentum. I'd say in India, it really became completely mainstream probably around, what is it, 2015, 16, 17, when Geo came out with its data mobile phones. That revolution was certainly slower in many ways. But if you look at the AI space today, and specifically around generative AI, large language models, the speed at which disruption is happening is unprecedented, right? Unprecedented, nothing like we've seen in humanity before. The reason for that is because today you have AI on every single mobile phone, right? And anyone who has a mobile phone has access to this. So it is not only transforming financial transactions, information, experiences, it is actually touching every aspect of your life. I mean, in Bangalore, there's been a big push to do AI-based traffic lights as well, right? So I think 150 traffic lights in the city are covered using AI-based systems here. So it is really disruptive. It is very intrusive in many ways, and it is really there in every aspect of your life. What I would add is that we are talking about AI a lot today. I think that very soon, like you have said as well, AI just becomes part of everything we do. Like the internet, we don't talk about the internet anymore. It is really there everywhere, completely ubiquitous. The same way, AI will also be part of literally everything we do in the digital world. So I think what that means is there is a paradigm shift coming where you start to, one, have very personalized experiences throughout, wherever it is, right? But two, also a lot of things that either takes more time, needs more people, you might think it's complex, suddenly becomes simpler, right? Because you can basically tell the system to, hey, write me an app that does XYZ, right? If there are many conversations around, we often brainstorm ideas and come up with sketches. I think we're reaching a stage where we can brainstorm ideas and come out of a meeting with a prototype in the same meeting, right? So that is a very transformational shift, very disruptive, even from a employment landscape and all of that. And I think that it's important for every individual because of that to think about what they want to do, right? Whether it's being an engineer, a doctor, an artist, whatever that might be, really think hard about it because if you do not enjoy what you are doing, I personally feel like you're going to be doing some sort of work that is very menial or you're not able to grow in it, you get stuck. And when you have tools like generative AI around, you are competing with them, right? And you don't want to do that. As humans, I think where we add the most value is where there's intelligence involved, where there's strategy involved, where there's ideation involved. And I don't see Gen AI being close to any of those things. It can do things for you when you tell it what to do, but it also just changes its mind when you're kind of prompting it in different ways. So don't do things that are, repetitive, menial, and not kind of using your thought process to come up with a solution. I would say leverage tools that are available today to make yourself more useful, faster, and just embrace it because it is coming and it is going to disrupt. I'm not sure how for sure, but it is a very disruptive force right now. So I would say don't shy away from it. Use it as much as possible. Decide what works for you and what doesn't. But it's important that you are experienced and know how to use these tools out there.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I love how you highlighted the role of technology as more of an enabler for a meaningful change and not just as a growth hack. And of course, it's important that listeners also understand this and make use and leverage tools to make their their day-to-day operations faster and smarter. I think it really sets the stage for thinking about what the next chapter of fintech should look like.
Yeah.
And of course, we definitely want a future where technology is empowering users rather than just making it as a tool to just monetize them. So, thank you again for unpacking that so thoughtfully. Having said that, one last question for you, Kiran. What is one piece of advice that you would like to give to other founders who are trying to build, trust first products in fintech or beyond?
Honestly, I think my biggest advice to any founder or anyone starting any new product out there is, find something you're passionate about, find a problem that's very real and solve for that, right? I think, I've had this conversation multiple times now about being an entrepreneur, starting a company. A lot of questions go down to, the opportunity to make a lot of money and fame and all of those things, right? If anything other than the problem and the passion for what you are trying to solve is driving you, I personally don't think you will get anywhere. The level of commitment that you need to start a company, to build a company successfully is just immense. And the number of challenges that come along the way are infinite. Entrepreneurs, successful or failed, I would say, are trying to solve a problem that seems impossible, that nobody believes you can solve. And that's where that will and commitment really comes in, right? So, my single piece of advice would be find something you're passionate about and find a problem that's real. When both of those intersect, everything else will fall into place.
Great. That was so nice. Kiran, thank you for sharing that advice. And I think as we wrap up today's discussion, here's what I would like our listeners to take away. I think the fintech race isn't about launching more features, but about listening better. It's about recognizing that most of us, money isn't just math, it's personal. And if you want to build tools that people actually want to use, we should start by building trust, offering more clarity, and delivering intelligence that fits our lives, not the other way around. Well, thank you so much, Kiran. It was a pleasure having you with us on a podcast today, and thank you for helping us understand that as the fintech industry continues to grow, companies and startups will succeed. Will likely be those that understand the importance of brand recognition and trust. And investing in brand building is not just about shapes and colors, but I think about shaping consumer perception to convey who you are and why you can be trusted with their businesses. So thank you so much for those lovely insights. And it was lovely chatting with you.
Thanks for having me, Priya.
Great. So, this is for our listeners. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Analytics Insight. If you found this conversation insightful, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and of course, leave us a review. It really helps us bring these important topics to more listeners. Until next time, I'm Priya Dialani reminding you that money should work for you, not stress you out. So, stay informed, stay empowered, and we will see you in the next episode. Until then, you can view all our previous episode on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.